responsive. I just have to make inputs because it does seem to pick up lateral motion. Commanding. I'm able to hold the magenta cross within the width of the black cross on the side without, I was talking, it went out, but overall able to keep it centered, less moderate or less effort. Okay, complete.
Houston, translation test complete.
Very precise control. That you
Copy, and you are go for the multi-axis test, and Reed, you are coming much lower volume than Victor.
Okay, I will speak up in the cabin mic.
That's better, thanks.
Again, pilot Victor Glover on the left side of your screen is manually piloting the spacecraft, executing the 6 degrees of freedom, translating forward, backward, left, right, up, and down, and rotating the pitch, yaw, 6 degrees of freedom of Orion in relation to the interim cryogenic propulsion state. And rotate.
Course selected. Left RHC, right on THC. Ready? All right, and I'll get the yaw out to 2 degrees. Okay, it's there. Okay, range, it's just side of 2.
Integrity Houston, no action on the caution warning messages.
Give it some ends.
We copy that, Amy.
All right, lateral motion is held. Okay, 355 for 355. All right, nice and stable, focusing on range. Out, got a little opening, some ends to correct. Got some dynamics there at the beginning, going yaw, then translation, yaw, and translation, but caught up, was able to correct it out without many problems, moderate or less workload. Now it's very stable, just focusing on range. 50 for 345, and at 345 we go left. $50 for 345. Nice and stable. Range is good. 48 for 3.5, nice and stable, so we're in a good position to go course.
The crew is on the timeline and about 2 minutes away from their multi-degree of freedom yaw test.
7 for 3.5. 6. Yeah, that rate has gone down quite a bit. 5, there's picked up course. Yeah, the yaw rate had dropped off a bit. I put it back in. Okay, at 3-4, go discrete. $342. Right, coming up on 3. Right, left to stabilize. All right, we are just outside. Range has opened a bit. Actually, we're looking nice right at 2. Okay, ready. Course. Stand by. It's nice and stable. take it out of course and just go fine to try to null a little bit. Oscillating around centered. Okay, I'm ready. Pick that. All right, got a good yaw rate. I'll watch the yaw rate closer this time. Fine. And, okay. Too many. I did that in before to fine. Back to, all right, going out. So course out. All right, there we go. I see opening. Everybody concur? All right, thank you. I'm going to go back to fine. All right, that yaw rate is slightly dropping off. I'm 348. One more out. That'll be 355 going to 350 for 35. $54. All right, there's pick course. 2.1. Again, a little dynamic at the beginning, but to stabilize all the motion and correct it. Going up on 0. Oh yeah, you can see some of the coating on the fabric on the behind the docking target moving as we. It's all right. We're stabilized. About 1.75.
Houston, yaw multi-axis test complete.
Copy.
I do. Okay, I think we've stopped the opening.
All right, Houston, we're in instruction 167. TTIG is not yet quite within 29. Waiting your instructions.
Reed, we're ready for you to go to instruction 169. You are go for the multi-axis maneuver biased tail to sun. Tail to sun.
Coming up on 1 hour since separation from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, again almost an hour ago, and now 4 hours and 20 minutes since liftoff. We are getting closer to the tail end of the ProxOps demonstration. Again, during this demonstration, Victor Glover, the pilot aboard Orion, was manually piloting the Orion spacecraft in relation to the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. You can see that ICPS on the left side of your screen, and that ICPS visible through the docking camera.
1.75. 356 for 353. Copy. 355.
Of course, we're not docking to anything on the Artemis 2 mission, but this test helps us understand how Orion flies manually and helps us prepare for future missions when we'll need to dock to a lunar lander. The commands Glover has been sending to...
I did have to throw another yaw in there to keep it at .2, yeah. Overall, guys, this flies very nicely. Copy, 347 for pulse.
What Glover is using to command the spacecraft, the translational and rotational hand controllers.
Very precise. 3x set. It's the 358. Pitch down, going in.
Orion is using the 24 reaction control system thrusters on the European service module.
358 set. All right, going back to center. So course, then getting the docking count, target back to center. Focus on being stable. Yeah, the thruster firings are a lot less aggressive than I thought it would sound or feel, like driving on a gravelly road. The response is quite immediate. Not all the axes are even. Roll is very, very slow, but pitch and yaw are very snappy and responsive. And when you have the zoom set right, you can see very small motions, and so translations are all quite tight and very nicely balanced.
Houston, are you ready for the ATP for depart tail sun?
Affirm.
Auto inertial. Just going for stable, and we're stable.
Step 25.
Currently, Orion is about 15 meters away from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. At the conclusion of the proximity operations demonstration,
minus 26.
For the DAP 18 authority DAP.
And Reed, please repeat.
Holding on instruction 185, just want to make sure you are ready for DAP 18 and go for departure.
Go for DAP 18 and go for departure.
Copy, Houston, that's in word.
Capcom Amy Dill calling to the crew. They are go for departure from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage.
3 outs. Houston, integrity departure initiated.
Copy.
Orion is now backing away from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. The proximity operations demonstration is complete. Coming up next, we will have the upper stage separation burn, providing distance between Orion and the ICPS.
Oh, wow, look at that. Wow. Copy, going off Fox. Great flying with you, Houston. Nice vehicle.
Great job, Victor, and to the entire crew, and we enjoyed your excitement at seeing ICPS out the window.
And Houston, I am bringing the exposure control down to 1 so that we get some video. Let us know if you want that higher for your bearing test.
Setting of 1 is good for us.
This is a live view from the Vehicle Ascent and Launch Operations Room. This is Valor, the ULA launch team support room. They are responsible for observing any program issues that may require their experience to correctly detect and assess. They've been monitoring the health of the ICPS prior to launch.
Houston, no action on the cautions.
They've been monitoring ICPS since before launch, through launch, and obviously during the proximity operations until the ICPS end of mission. Back inside Orion, we are expecting their upper stage separation burn. Again, that will take them away from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage very shortly. The interim cryogenic propulsion stage will then conduct its own disposal burn and will burn up upon re-entry over Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. This view of the interim cryogenic propulsion stage.
Copy.
Four
4 hours, 27 minutes since Orion launched.
ICPS is stable in the dock cam field of view. We are going to stay in authority DAP, and we are going to discontinue all manual THC inputs.
Copy, Reed. Please take dock cam exposure to 0, wait 20 seconds, and then take back to 1.
Mike has that in work.
Thanks.
As you heard Capcom Amy Dill ask the crew, they are able to control the exposure that we see from the docking camera. Down on the bottom right side of your screen as the interim cryogenic propulsion stage gets farther and farther away. That's actually Orion backing away from the ICPS, having recently completed the proximity operations demonstration, during which pilot Victor Glover manually flew Orion. On the left side of your screen, you can see Glover in the left. He's currently in seat 1, having conducted those prox ops. And on the right is NASA astronaut and commander of Artemis 2, Reed Wiseman.
And Houston, here comes the ATP for our pod to coast.
We're ready.
Houston, we are going to 12.2.2515 USS-2 burn execution.
We're with you.
Four hours and 30 minutes since liftoff today of Orion, also referred to as Integrity, atop the Space Launch System rocket at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew continues to back away from the ICPS, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage that was used for the perigee raise maneuver, and the apogee raise burn that put them in the high Earth orbit where they're at now. Coming up shortly is the upper stage separation burn. Upper stage separation provides what we need to distance Orion and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage even further. The ICPS will have its own disposal burn.
Houston, for awareness, 2 minutes until ICPS maneuvers.
Integrity copies. Houston, we're checking with you in step 4, burn config ATP.
Go to continue, ready for ATP.
Houston, ATP burn config is go.
Copy.
This view live in Artemis Mission Control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston as the Orbit 1 team continues monitoring the flight of Orion on the Artemis 2 mission. We've just completed the proximity operations demo, during which pilot Victor Glover manually flew the Orion spacecraft, the first time anyone has done so. And we're preparing for the upper stage separation burn to separate Orion from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage even further. Major burns after this point are using the OMS, the Orbital Maneuvering Service Engine, on the European Service Module. There are also some 24 reaction control system thrusters on the European Service Module.
Integrity ICPS maneuver in work.
Integrity copies.
The interim cryogenic propulsion stage making an additional maneuver ahead of the USS-2 burn. That USS-2 burn coming from Orion. The ICPS will have its own disposal burn and will burn up upon re-entry over the Pacific Ocean. Again, live here in Mission Control Houston, Artemis Mission Control, to be exact. Just down the hall from the International Space Station Mission Control Room, also flying with humans aboard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have completed the proximity operations demonstration aboard Orion, and we are now looking ahead to the upper stage separation burn. This provides distance from between Orion and the ICPS. The ICPS will have its own disposal burn at about 5 hours MET. We are now 4 hours and 37 minutes MET, or time since launch. It's been a long day for the crew aboard Orion, and they still have a few tasks to complete before they can go to bed tonight. Of course, we'll have the upper stage separation burn that they will need to monitor. They'll continue doffing and stowing suits.
Houston's here.
Can you confirm what status you want us for suit drying?
Checking. And Integrity, can you confirm that you did the glove swap activity?
Negative, we did not do the glove swap activity.
All right, when able, you can do the glove swap activity, and then we'll need a 15-minute timer, and then we'll be ready to terminate suit drying.
Integrity.
Solar arrays are now in motion ahead of the USS 2 burn, the upper stage separation 2 burn. And with proximity operations complete, we will look forward to hearing from pilot Victor Glover how it felt to fly Orion. But just before his launch, we got to ask him how it felt and how he was looking forward to it.
As a test pilot, the opportunity to fly a spaceship is just a dream. It's unreal. The piloting role specifically, I will have an hour and a half or so where I get to fly the spacecraft by hand, and we fly Orion a lot in the simulator to train, but also to build an experience base for how the teams on the ground think Orion's going to work. And then when we fly Orion in space, we're actually going to compare the two to help them make better models. You know, my inner test pilot is like, of course, very excited about that. But really, the point of this is to make sure that Orion is a safe spacecraft so that we can go and do more complicated missions without having to think about, do we need to have a test pilot on every mission to fly this spacecraft? So far, I really like the way Orion flies, but it's only been in the simulator. And so the ability to fly one actually in space on a test mission is just a really unique opportunity.
Again, those words from pilot Victor Glover before his flight aboard Orion, and reflecting on how it's been to fly Orion in the simulator for those proximity operations demonstrations. Now he has gotten to do the real thing today, with Prox Ops having just completed about 10 minutes ago. This view live inside Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston as the crew continues to move away from the ICPS ahead of that upper stage separation burn. All 4 solar arrays are now in position ahead of the upper stage separation burn.
Integrity Houston, we are checking on those cautions.
integrity.
Orion is now maneuvering into the proper attitude ahead of that upper stage separation burn. Orion continuing to maneuver into its proper attitude ahead of the upper stage separation burn. After this burn, the crew has a little more work to do before they can go to sleep. It's been a long day for them, having woken up about 8 hours before launch. The crew aboard Orion will continue stowing their suits and configuring the cabin as they need it for the duration of the flight.
In Integrity Houston, those caution warning messages for prop were seen on manifolds being used for maneuver to burn attitude. Still go for USS-2.
Integrity copy. Still go for USS-2. Thanks for the updates. And the crescent Earth from almost 20,000 miles looks amazing.
Thanks for that report.
Upper stage separation burn for Orion coming up in about 4 minutes. We're now 4 hours and 46 minutes since liftoff. This view coming live from the spacecraft, looking at one of the solar arrays. Those solar arrays are now swept forward, and that protects them from any loads imparted when we conduct this upper stage separation burn. 2 minutes until the upper stage separation burn. This will be the last burn of the evening. The crew will continue stowing their suits. They'll configure the cabin. They will also have their private medical conference. These are scheduled every single day to allow the crew to report how they're feeling down to team members here on Earth. Then they'll get into their pre-sleep and their sleep for the evening. They will only get a few hours of sleep to start. They're going to wake up essentially in the middle of this nap for the perigee raise burn. That burn will set us up for translunar injection tomorrow. A translunar injection burn is what will commit us to flying by the moon and also serves as our deorbit burn. Less than a minute now until the upper stage separation burn.
Integrity Houston, no action on the ohms caution.
Integrity copies.
And we have confirmation of the upper stage segment burn start and complete. Very short burn.
And Integrity Houston, no action on the RCS prop cautions. Let's taking a look.
Okay, copy. And we show about 10 seconds to go on a trim burn, and that is looking good. Attitude is stable.
Copy. Integrity Houston, good USS-2 burn.
Integrity copies, good USS-2.
Confirmation of a successful USS-2 burn, upper stage separation. This view live from Orion. You can see on the right the solar array. You also heard some calls from Capcom Amy Dill to the crew about some cautions that they will see aboard the spacecraft that they're looking into on the reaction control system thrusters, and no action is needed from the crew at this time.
Houston Integrity and procedure 12.2.2515 USS-2 burn execution. Confirm you will complete remaining post-burn reconfig, and we will exit the procedure.
We concur. We'll take it from here.
Copy, thank you.
With proximity operations complete and the upper stage separation burn complete as well, we are now looking to the ICPS, or interim cryogenic propulsion stage disposal burn. We will not see this or get data on it. It will burn up upon reentry over Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean.
Houston Integrity, I'm going to request to suppress the CMA 300.
Copy and checking. And Reed, we will suppress from the ground the CMS 300 caution.
Houston Integrity, very low priority. Let me know when you have 2 minutes for boom mic troubleshooting.
We have the time.
Okay, Amy, as we're learning how to use this mic, I'm talking in a conversational level with the mic about a half a centimeter from my mouth. How do you hear me right now?
Tom, let's tell him it's definitely better, 3 or 4 by 5.
It's a bit better. It's about 3 or 4 by 5.
Okay, Amy, and now I am talking to you with the tip of the boom mic pressed against my upper lip, so I have lip contact on the mic. How's this now?
5 by 5.
Okay, I will let the crew know. Thank you.
We copy. In Integrity Houston on 1, whenever you're ready, we do have some toilet troubleshooting actions for you.
Okay, Houston, we copy on toilet. We have 1 stowage delta for you. Let me know when you're ready to copy.
We're ready for stowage delta.
All right, very simple. The PWD cover is in Foxtrot 2, not Foxtrot 3.
We copy.
Okay, Amy, just give us about 2 minutes and we'll be ready for the toilet orders.
Standing by.
And we have confirmation that the interim cryogenic propulsion stage burn has started. Again, this is a disposal burn. The ICPS will re-enter Earth's atmosphere and harmlessly burn up over the Pacific Ocean. Additionally, we are expecting the CubeSats to be released soon. These will be released from the Orion stage adapter on the Space Launch System upper stage into a high Earth orbit, where they will conduct an orbital maneuver to reach their own desired orbit. These are 5 CubeSats from space agencies including Germany, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina. They have their own distinct objectives completely separate from NASA's mission. And these CubeSats are shoebox-sized payloads that have the potential to expand our knowledge of the space environment. The German Space Agency, or DLR's Tacheles CubeSat, will measure effects of the space environment on electrical components to inform technologies for lunar vehicles. The Korea Aerospace Administration, or CASA's KRAD Cube, will use a dosimeter made of human-like tissue to measure space radiation and biological effects across the Van Allen radiation belts. The Saudi Space Agency's Saudi Geomagnetosphere Satellite, or SHMS CubeSat, will measure space weather at a range of distances from Earth. And Argentina's Comisión Nacional de Actividades Espaciales, or CONE, has a CubeSat called Etna, which will assess radiation shielding methods, measuring Earth's radiation spectrum, collecting GPS data, and validating a long-range communications link. By working with other countries to fly these,
Houston's here.
Hey, Amy, without knowing what's going on later this day, how important is the 4K encoder setup?
Checking.
Integrity Houston on 1 for timeline big picture.
All 4 crew members are here, Jeff.
Fantastic. Hey, it's been a great day, guys, and we're going to try and get you to bed a little bit early today. We do want to do the 4K encoder setup as well as the toilet troubleshooting. I don't think it'll take very long. Ideally, we'd get that done here in the next hour or so, along with the conferences, and then get you guys to bed a little bit early. That's what we're thinking down here.
Jeff, that all sounds great to us. I have a couple pieces of information if you have no further updates.
All right, we're ready to copy.
All right, just how we're going to break up the crew right now to handle this. Victor is the lead for suit drying and suit stowage. And we show that we have had glove swap for about 15 minutes, so we could probably move on there. How copy?
We copy.
Okay, Jeremy is going to be the cabin config supervisor. He is going to get into cabin config, but as his first activity, he is going to get a power chain set up with the Cobalt brick, and then he will work 4K encoder, and I will help him. How copy?
We copy.
Christina is going to work the toilet troubleshooting with you, so when you all are ready, if you are happy with what Ike, with what Victor and Jeremy are doing, I will hand the comm and the toilet lead over to Christina.
Copy. Stand by for data rate change.
This view inside Mission Control Houston, specifically Artemis Mission Control, as the crew was reporting down some of their tasks that they're continuing to work on at the end of this flight day. It's been a very busy day for the crew so far, again waking up about 8 hours before liftoff, which was now 5 hours and 5 minutes ago. After a successful ride to orbit, they saw the perigee raise maneuver, the apogee raise burn, and got into the proximity operations demonstration. They then conducted the upper stage separation burn to depart the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. That's put us into our current configuration. The crew is working inside the cabin to configure it, to configure where they will stow their suits, and we'll eventually get into some pre-sleep and sleep opportunities before the apogee raise burn in the middle of the night. That'll actually be the perigee raise burn in the middle of the night. They will wake up from a brief nap and monitor that perigee raise burn before getting some more sleep and starting their next flight day tomorrow.
Integrity Houston, back with you.
Amy, we have you loud and clear.
Same, and last we copied is that Christina will work toilet troubleshooting.
That's a good read, and I'm ready for those words when you are.
Okay, Christina, first, we do not think empty oxone beads were installed for launch, so we do not suspect a blockage. We think it could be a priming issue. So the first thing we'd like you to do is to verify the toilet air filter barrier is removed. And I have a step number from toilet setup and activation procedure if you need it. Let us know when that's complete, and then we're going to power cycle the toilet from the ground and have further steps for you.
Okay, I copy all. Before we continue, are we go to swap the suit drying? And correction, are we going to terminate the suit drying?
Go for suit drying termination.
Copy. And Amy, for the air filter barrier removal, is that the nominal removal that's in the toilet setup and activation procedure that I ran?
Affirm, it was step 5.
Yes, I did complete that step.
Copy, standby.
Capcom, let them know we're repowering, and once that's will be attempt to use.
Okay, copy. We are going to power cycle the toilet, and then we'll give you a call back to attempt reactivation with removing the urine hose from the cradle and allowed to run for 1 minute. And then we would also like you to have available 250 milliliters of water. We're not ready for that yet. We'll let you know when the power cycle is complete.
Copy.
Crew aboard Orion, specifically Christina Cook, NASA astronaut and mission specialist, continuing to troubleshoot the issues they saw earlier with the toilet. The teams here on the ground are relaying up instructions on how to resolve that situation.
Integrity Houston for cab camera 2.
Go ahead.
Hey, Christina, for your and the crew's awareness, you may see the cab camera 2 light turn on. We are not streaming video. We're just getting a listing of files.
Copy.
And Integrity Houston for Christina and toilet troubleshooting.
Go ahead.
Okay, Christina, we're ready for you to attempt reactivation of toilet by removing the urine hose from the cradle. Please allow it to run for 1 minute, and then if that's joy, you can deactivate toilet and give us a call.
Copy, and understand I'm not putting the water in the funnel at this time.
Correct. Not yet. Not for this time.
In work.
Capcom Amy Dill relaying some words to NASA astronaut Christina Cook on how to troubleshoot the toilet issue they experienced earlier. We should hear shortly the resolution of that issue. This view from Mission Control Houston, Artemis Mission Control, now 5 hours and 14 minutes since liftoff of Orion atop the Space Launch System.
Houston, integrity, test complete, good status light, good flow for the entire test.
Okay.
Good news, Christina, and we are discussing next step. Stand by.
NASA astronaut Christina Cook reporting they had a successful test of the toilet.
And Integrity Houston, Christina for toilet troubleshooting next step.
Go.
Okay, we're going to have you reactivate toilet with the removing the urine hose from the cradle. Please allow it to run for 1 minute, then add 250 milliliters of water, and then allow it to run for at least another 30 seconds and report how that went.
In work.
Continuing to execute those tests to make sure the toilet is up and running properly. Also on the timeline for the crew tonight is an AGA reading, or an anomaly gas analyzer checkout. They will test the air inside the cabin. They do this a couple of times a day to make sure that the environment inside the Orion spacecraft is as we expect. Again, this is the first time we've ever flown humans aboard Orion. It is a test flight, and so we're testing every single specification possible in preparation for future missions.
Houston Integrity, good checkout.
Okay, excellent news, Christina, and we are discussing if there's anything further we need.
As you heard, NASA astronaut Christina Cook called down to the ground. She had a second good checkout of the toilet, and teams here are discussing whether they want to pursue any further steps. And at this time, we expect those 4 secondary CubeSat payloads that were on the Space Launch System are expected to have completed their deployment based on their own timers. Now, we don't have direct confirmation of this, but the payload teams will be able to communicate with and track their CubeSats.
Integrity Houston for toilet status.
Go.
Happy to report that toilet is go for use. We do recommend letting the system get up to operating speed before donating fluid, and then let it run a little bit after donation.
We are cheers all around, and we will do that. Regarding the same, we have 1 CCU that will need to be emptied.
We thought you might, so we went ahead and warmed up the heater, so you're good to empty the CCU at your convenience.
We copy all. Thank you.
And correction, we actually want you to hold off for now on the CCU emptying for potential GNC impact. So we'll let you know when we're ready for that.
Understood.
Further confirmation from the ground teams and crew that the toilet issues have been resolved and that the crew will be go to use the toilet as normally planned. I'm NASA's PAO Leah Cheshire Mustachio here in Artemis Mission Control, and I'm joined by Dave Dennemiller. He is the Deputy Manager for Orion Guidance, Navigation, and Control. Thanks for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell me about your role, and I believe you just came from the MER, is that right?
Yeah, we just came from the MER. I lead a team of people who developed the guidance, navigation, and control system for Orion. It's kind of a mouthful, but basically, where are we? How do we get to where we want to go? And how do we control the vehicle? We work hand in hand with the people in this room, the flight controllers, and we developed the ProxOps demo and all the other flight ops that we're doing on Artemis 2.
Well, now that we're through the ProxOps demo, I would love to hear about what your team was hoping to learn during that demonstration.
Yeah, it's a very important data collection activity on Artemis 2. There are basically three categories of things we wanted to learn. Controlling the vehicle involves a whole loop of hardware, software, and people. So we start with the docking camera view that you saw on the NASA TV. And that goes to the display unit that the crew looks at. The crew has to interpret that image and decide what to do. And they make commands to the computer and the hand controllers that you saw the crew members deflecting. And those go through our algorithms to determine which jets to fire. And then we have some electronics to pass those commands along. And that causes the vehicle to move, which goes back to the docking camera again. So it's a big loop. And the ProxOps was testing that whole loop to see how it worked. The second category of thing is the docking camera. Cameras in space have historically had problems because the space lighting is very, very tough on cameras. The brights are very bright and the darks are very dark, very high contrast environment. So we've done all the testing we can with the camera on the ground, but there's nothing like testing it in the space environment to see how it will really work. And then the third category of thing is that when we got in close to the ICPS, we're doing very, very, very small maneuvers. They're less than 1/100th of a meter per second velocity change of the vehicle. They're so low that our IMU can't detect them. So we need a target vehicle out in front of us so that we can actually see the motion. So we collected all that data, and now we have some stuff to look at post-flight.
That's fascinating. And I know pilot Victor Glover was really excited to see, and really quickly, we are getting an amazing view right now, I believe, from Orion, and that may be the Earth or the Moon in the very background. And it actually looks like a crescent Earth there in the background. This view coming from one of the solar array wing cameras aboard Orion.
Integrity Houston for CCU answer.
Go ahead.
Christina, two options for when you can dump the CCU. One option is today at MET 6 hours 35 minutes, which was during a planned dump time for us, or we can find a time for you to empty the CCU tomorrow.
And help me out with that math. How long from now is that dump time for today?
About an hour.
And I think we'd prefer to do the dump today during that time.
Copy, Christina, and we'll come back to you around that time, letting you know when you're go to dump the CCU.
Perfect. Thank you.
Some more communications with the crew aboard Orion, calling down to Capcom Amy Dill. And this view on your screen, that is Earth in the center of your screen from the Orion spacecraft. Again, a camera mounted aboard the spacecraft's solar array wing, looking back at all of us. Now, I want to get back to our interview. Dave, the Deputy Manager of Guidance, Navigation, and Control for Orion, talking about ProcSOP's a really dynamic time. And we heard from NASA astronaut Victor Glover the entire time that he was piloting the spacecraft. And I know that's additional information for your team as well. So what will you interpret from the information about the spacecraft that Victor called down?
Yeah, the crew's comments, Victor's in particular, are very important to us. Obviously, when the crew is manually controlling the spacecraft, we're interested in that task being easy for them to accomplish. So Victor was given a lot of feedback while he was flying. It shows his test pilot background, because that's what test pilots do. They mention the good, the bad, and the ugly as they're flying. So that's a very important part of this. We're actually going to get a score from them of how Orion did. It's called handling qualities. It's a time-tested tradition in the aircraft world that we adopted for spaceflight back in the shuttle days. So they will give us, actually give us a score. It's called a handling quality score.
Fascinating. So once you get that score from them, when will you get that? And then what will you do to digest that feedback? What's next for your team?
Yeah, we'll dive into all of this. We look at the video and look at the commands that the pilots made, that Victor made, and the way the system responded, and look at the video to make sure the vehicle did what we expected it to do. And we'll look at all of that afterwards. We've gotten Victor's comments live now, but we'll get more post-flight when we interview the crew post-flight.
Well, that's great. And I know that this is not the only time during the mission that the crew is manually flying the vehicle. There's a manual piloting demo coming up in a few days. So is there anything that your team learned today that helps inform how that demo will go, or any preparations?
Yeah, there's actually lots of different kinds of manual piloting tasks. The one that we did today is one of the more complex ones. We did it first because we needed the ICPS to be there, and the ICPS we had a limited amount of time before it had to perform its disposal burn. So these other tasks don't require an ICPS. We'll be doing some tasks of pointing the vehicle. We'll ask the crew to point at a star to simulate a future operation where we need to point the vehicle at a target at long range while the target's still at long range. So there's just lots. We're going to turn jets off to simulate a degraded control system and see how the control system responds. So we have a lot of other manual control tasks coming up.
Definitely a lot of action still to come for your group.
Yeah, and all this is, we're simulating stuff that we need to, we're not simulating, we're flying stuff that we need to fly on a future flight. So by being able to do it now, if we see any funnies in the data or decide we need to make any corrections, we have time to make those corrections before the Artemis 3 flight. So this is really risk buy down for Artemis 3. That's why we're doing this, is to get some of the system tests behind us before we fly the first dockings for real on Artemis 3.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a test flight. And with that, I would love to know how you feel after a crew has now piloted Orion for the very first time.
Oh, it's always a great feeling to see something that your team developed go fly for real. I've been around for a while. I've seen this many times, but the luster never fades. It's always fun to actually fly and see your stuff in operation.
I can only imagine. I'm so excited for your team. Congratulations, and we can't wait to see everything that is to come in the upcoming days. So thank you again so much for joining us, Dave Dennemiller, Deputy Manager for Orion's Guidance, Navigation, and Control System.
It was fun. We got 9 more days of fun.
Let's do it. This beautiful view coming from Orion on the Artemis 2 mission and a camera on the spacecraft's solar array wing, looking back at all of us here on Earth. The spacecraft now over 27,000 miles away from our home planet. We are now 5 hours and 45 minutes mission elapsed time, or 5 hours and 45 minutes since launch of the Artemis 2 mission. This view looking back on Earth from one of the cameras on the spacecraft's solar array wing. Things will start to get a little quieter from the crew. Of course, we heard quite a lot from them during the Prox operations demonstration when pilot Victor Glover manually flew the spacecraft around the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. With that complete, the crew conducted some troubleshooting for toilet issues they were experiencing earlier, and those have been resolved. They also continued drying and stowing their suits, configuring the cabin for the mission. They will have a private medical conference later today as well to report how they're feeling to teams on the ground. And eventually they'll be able to get into some sleep. Of course, this is not a full night's sleep as they will have the rest of the mission because they will move into a perigee raise burn. That perigee raise burn timelined for 12 hours and 55 minutes mission elapsed time, so just about 7 hours from now. After that perigee raise burn, they'll get the opportunity to get a few more hours sleep before waking up tomorrow and starting another day.
Integrity Houston, maneuver in 2 minutes for the bearing DFTO.
Integrity copies. And timeline question, would you like us to do the PCS O2N2 med checkout activity?
Indeed we would, and you are go in step 1.1.
Copy all.
Integrity Houston, those prop RCS cautions are understood per the maneuver that we're doing now.
We copy.
That call from ground teams to the crew, letting them know that any warnings they see on their screens can be ignored. No action is required of them right now. Those are reported by prop about the reaction control system thrusters. We've seen those a couple of times tonight, and teams on the ground are working a forward path. Right now, they'll be able to quiet those alerts on the crew's displays. Seeing some movement on your screen as Orion moves into its next attitude. Again, this video coming from the tip of a camera on the solar array wing. You also have a great view now of the European Service Module and that OMS engine. That's the Orbital Maneuvering System engine. This is a NASA-provided and refurbished engine. So far, not including today, it had been to space 19 times on 3 different space shuttles. The OMS engine provides about 6,000 pounds of thrust, and if you strapped it to a car on Earth, it would go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 2.7 seconds. Now 5 hours and 55 minutes since liftoff of the Artemis 2 mission. The Artemis 2 crew continuing to configure the cabin aboard the spacecraft. Again, a very long day for them, having woken up about 8 hours prior to launch. Now coming up on 6 hours mission elapsed time. 6 hours now since the launch of Artemis 2, the Orion spacecraft atop the Space Launch System rocket. This is a test flight and the first flight of humans aboard the spacecraft. This view on your screen coming from the Orion spacecraft, a camera on its solar array wing looking back at us on Earth. Now we do have 4 astronauts working aboard the spacecraft. The commander is NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman. He's a Baltimore native. He's been in space before, and he was a flight engineer for Expedition 41 aboard the International Space Station from May through November 2014, a total 165-day mission, working on science experiments in areas like human physiology, medicine, physical science, earth science, and astrophysics. He also served as chief of NASA's astronaut office from December 2020 to November 2022. Reed has 2 daughters. We saw those 2 girls waving at him as he departed the operations and checkout building today, boarded the Astrovan, and went to the launch pad. Artemis 2 pilot is NASA astronaut Victor Glover. He was selected as an astronaut in 2013, when at that time he was serving as a legislative fellow in the U.S. Senate. His first trip to space was in November 2020. He launched as the pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission, that was the first operational mission of our commercial crew program, resumed launching American rockets from American soil to the space station since the end of the shuttle program. Victor is a U.S. Navy captain and naval aviator who served as a test pilot. He has more than 3,500 flight hours in over 40 different aircraft. He added a spacecraft to that today as he piloted Orion during the manual flight of the proximity operations demonstration. And he and his wife have 4 children. Next up is NASA astronaut Christina Cook. She is a mission specialist aboard Artemis 2 and a native of Grand Rapids, Michigan. She was selected to the astronaut corps in 2013, being in the same class as Victor. She's previously served as a flight engineer on the space station from March 2019 to February 2020, making her the holder of the record for the longest single space flight by a woman. That's 328 consecutive days in space. She also participated in the first ever all-female spacewalk with NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who's now living and working aboard the space station. And before becoming an astronaut, Christina helped build space science instruments and led scientific fieldwork in some of the most remote environments on the planet. She loves surfing, rock climbing, community service, yoga, travel, and photography. Rounding out our crew is Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. He is a first-time flyer and will be the first Canadian to fly around the moon. He is a London, Ontario native and was selected as an astronaut in 2009. Since then, he's worked as a Capcom here in Mission Control in Houston. Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator, and that's the single person in Mission Control communicating with the astronauts in space. He's also participated in training exercises like living on the ocean floor off the coast of Florida to help simulate deep space exploration. In 2017, he became the first Canadian to lead a NASA astronaut class. He enjoys getting out on a sailboat, rock climbing, and mountain biking, and he and his wife have 3 children.
for timeline.
Houston's here.
Okay, Amy, we got the 4K camera encoder installed and the camera is set up. Are we doing scene and voice for PAO or are we skipping that for today?
We do want to do a checkout of the 4K encoder, but we don't need to do scene and voice checks. And Reed, that might have not been clear. We won't be doing a formal scene and voice check for PAO purposes, but we'll do a quick one just for the encoder checkout.
Okay, so there is no PAO event, but we are going to do a 4K encoder checkout. Copy, we're setting it up now.
Good copy. And Integrity Houston, we do have you on video for the 4K encoder checkout.
That is great news. Stand by for audio checks with the wireless mic.
Copy.
6 hours and 10 minutes since liftoff.
Amy, I just did audio with the wireless mic. Did you copy?
You have good audio on. And we copy good audio on the handheld mic.
That is great news. We're ready to call 4K encoder checkout complete if you are.
We concur. 4K checkout complete, and whenever you're ready, I have some words about S-band string swap that we're interested in having you all perform. And it is great to see you all wave 4 smiling voices, and we are really enjoying seeing you up there.
Not as much as we're enjoying being here.
That is true.
And Rise is also smiling at you guys. And we're preparing to be ready for your words about, I think you said S-band. Stand by.
Standing by.
And ahead of our future public affairs events, the crew has completed a checkout of the 4K encoder video and audio. Completing that installation tonight will allow us to have them conduct some events starting tomorrow. This view on your screen coming from Orion, looking back at all of us on Earth. This is coming from a camera mounted on one of the spacecraft's solar array wings. Just a little crescent Earth. Now 6 hours and 12 minutes since launch. The first flight of humans aboard Orion.
Decent integrity on 1. I do not have a notepad, but go with the S-band string, and if I need to get one, I'll get one.
Okay, copy. We know you're doing much cabin config, but first off, we did want to check if the EMER mass deploy is complete.
Affirmative.
Great, thank you. And then for the S-band string swap, we do want you to perform an S-band string swap back to string 1. We think the communication issues earlier in the mission were due to a ground issue, but we want to confirm good comm on string 1. I have a procedure when you're ready to copy.
Ready to copy.
21.1.3 for S-band string swap. Perform all steps.
And do we have a get well plan if we don't pick you up on the other string?
Checking. And Reed, if you swap to string 1 and you don't have comm with us for 2 minutes, you can swap back to string 2.
Okay, that sounds good. And can Christina go for her PAO teardown activity?
You are go for the PAO deactive activity.
Okay, we copy that, and 21.1.3 is going into work, and we have at least one use on fluids in the toilet, and it worked great.
We are so happy to hear that.
And Christina is wondering how long until the CCU dump.
Approximately, standby. Approximately 15 minutes to the CCU dump, and we'll give you a call as a reminder.
Copy. Houston Integrity, com check on string 1.
Loud and clear. How me?
We have you the same. We are on S-band string 1 primary. Looks good.
Okay. We concur, and we will be staying on string 1.
Astronauts aboard Orion calling down to speak with Artemis Mission Control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. What you see in the bottom right of your screen. Capcom, or Capsule Communicator, right now is Amy Dill. She has been speaking with the crew since the Orbit 1 shift took over. The Capsule Communicator is the only person in Mission Control that speaks directly with the crew. You can see her there down closer to the bottom left of your screen, and right next to her is NASA astronaut Raja Chari. Having one voice in Mission Control speaking with the crew allows us to keep communications clear and concise. They gather information from all of the flight controllers here in the room alongside the flight director and make decisions on what they need to share with the crew aboard Orion.
Houston Integrity on 1 for fan speed / cabin temperature.
Houston's listening.
Amy, is it possible to lower the cabin fan speed a bit? There's a lot of airflow in here, and if that is not possible, can we increase the temperature?
Well, I think the answer is yes, right, Ecom? We can do one of those two things.
Copy, Reed. We understand the request, and we are discussing how to implement. We'll follow up.
Yeah, sounds good. No urgency there, but just know that that will be our desire down the road.
Copy. Integrity Houston, maneuver in progress, 5 minutes. And Integrity Houston for the enabled SM, RCS prop cautions. Those are, again, understood with the maneuver, and we are working to suppress the ones that are enabled.
Sounds good, Amy. We copy all.
Now over 6.5 hours mission elapsed time, or time since the Artemis II mission began, with liftoff of Orion atop the Space Launch System rocket at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Since then, the crew has seen the perigee raise maneuver and apogee raise burn before moving into the proximity operations demo. They detached from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage and then used that stage as a docking target. Of course, we did not dock today, but this was great practice for us to understand how it feels to manually fly Orion. So pilot Victor Glover was manually controlling the spacecraft in relation to the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. We also saw CubeSat deployment. Eventually, we had the USS-2 burn, the upper stage separation burn that took us away from the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, and the ICPS itself had its own disposal burn. The crew is now working through some cabin configuration. Once their cabin configuration is complete, they will have their private medical conferences to report how they're feeling down to teams here on the ground. They'll get into their chance to sleep a little bit before the perigee raise burn in the middle of their sleep shift. Once that burn is complete, we will then get another sleep shift for Orion. That perigee raise burn is to raise the lowest point of Orion's orbit around the Earth right now. It is in a high Earth orbit. And that perigee raise burn will set us up for the translunar injection burn tomorrow. Translunar injection is the burn that we need to send us around the moon and is also our deorbit burn.
Integrity Houston, no action on the enabled caution again, and I have a couple of items for you whenever you're ready.
Okay, Houston, we're ready. Go ahead.
Okay, first off, to address the cabin environment, we're going to command cabin fan speed lower from the ground.
Thank you.
Two more things. Also, you probably already have, but your go to set cockpit and cabin lighting as well as DU brightness per your preference. We are well out of the eclipse.
You're right, we have. Thank you.
I figured you might have, and we're also at that time where we're ready for you to do the CCU dump, and I have a procedure when you're ready to copy.
Stand by on that one.
Standing by.
Okay, Houston, we are ready to copy the CCU dump procedure.
Okay, it is 26.2.201 CCU dump, and step 1.1 is complete for configuring heaters. We've done that from the ground.
Okay, Houston, we copy. Thank you.
And as an additional, once you get there, there's a check step in step 5.1 for confirming heaters reach set point. They are there, so you're good to continue once you get there.
Okay, we copy your 1.1 and 5.1. Thanks.
Capcom Amy Dill has been communicating with the crew aboard Orion, letting them know they will be able to turn down the fan inside the spacecraft, and is also going to work with them on how to empty the CCU. That's the collapsible contingency urinal. As you heard earlier, the crew had some time troubleshooting the toilet. That has since been resolved, and they are now able to empty and process what was used before they used the toilet.
Houston, integrity. Question on CCU dump. Also a status. The O2 N2 med checkout activity is complete.
Copy status. Ready for question.
Yes, the CUD-1 ECFA was not installed yet. I have located it. Am I go to remove all of the packaging around the connectors and go ahead and connect it to CUD-1, or is there a procedure I should be referred to for that?
And Christina, you are go to remove all the packaging and to connect ECFA to CUD-1.
Copy all.
Integrity Houston for upcoming conference.
Go ahead for upcoming conference.
Whenever you're ready, we can privatize Orion to Earth 2.
This is Mission Control Houston, continuing to monitor the flight of Orion on the Artemis 2 mission, first flight of humans aboard the spacecraft. Orion is now over 32,000 miles from Earth since launching 6 hours and 48 minutes ago. Again, we're looking at an approximately 10-day mission. The crew will soon be stepping into their private medical conferences. These are scheduled to allow the crew time to report down to the ground on how they are feeling during the mission. Once the crew completes their private medical conferences, they will be able to start winding down and getting into their pre-sleep period. They will have a chance to take a nap, essentially, before waking up for their perigee raise burn monitoring operations. Once perigee raise burn is complete, and again, perigee raise burn is to lift the lowest point of Orion's orbit around the Earth, and we are in a high Earth orbit. Once perigee raise burn is complete, we will have the crew go back to sleep for another several hours before they wake up tomorrow at about 2100 MET, actually about 2000 MET, which is around 1:15 p.m. Houston time, Central Time. It'll be a busy day for the crew tomorrow. They will have their first full day inside the spacecraft. They'll have the opportunity to talk about the vehicle status with the crew in Mission Control Houston. They will also begin exercising. And again, with that private medical conference coming up, we do take the action to privatize the loops so the crew can share however they are feeling with teams here on the ground below, and their health and medical status is protected. The main thing on their timeline tomorrow will be the translunar injection burn. This is the burn that will commit us to flying around the moon, leaving high Earth orbit, and eventually returning back home to Earth after swinging around the moon.
Integrity Houston, Orion to Earth 2 is privatized for your conference.
Houston, integrity on Orion Earth 1.
Houston's here.
You can go ahead and normalize Orion Earth 2, and then Reed is going to have a PCD question. I'm having a little bit of network issues. I need some troubleshooting assistance.
Copy, we will normalize.
Teams here in Mission Control Houston are normalizing the flight loop for Orion to communicate back with the Artemis Mission Control Room. They were able to privatize that flight loop and allow the crew to discuss with flight doctors how they feel after today's launch and events. We plan these private medical conferences throughout the mission for them to report down how they're feeling.
Integrity Houston, we are ready for your PCD questions whenever you are.
Okay, Amy, this is just on PCD1, logged in users, CDR. When I am trying to open Optimus, I am getting an error. Let me open it and try to read the error I'm getting.
We copy so far.
So I get a screen that says, "Welcome to Optimus tablet" with an exclamation point, and it says, "We need to gather some basic information to get you started," and it's got 3 questions. But then laying on top of that, about 1/5 of the size of the PCD, is a pop-up window that says, "Network error. Operating system is reporting access to internet as unavailable. Check to see if device has network capabilities enabled."
We copy, and we are chatting.
Copy. Troubleshooting steps I have tried is I've tried running the network config to Wi-Fi, and I have also tried a shutdown reboot, but I'm open to trying those things again.
Copy your troubleshooting so far.
That's NASA astronaut and Commander Reed Wiseman calling down about some issues he's having with his portable computing device, or PCD. Those are the tablets that the crew often uses. He's looking to access one of our networks that we use for timeline planning called Optimus. Teams here on the ground are helping him troubleshoot that.
Stowage question when you have a second.
Ready for stowage question.
As we are working on the Eclipse wall, we need new, fresh comfort garment stowage location for Christina and Jeremy. We're having a little bit of trouble finding their new comfort garments because we're going to stow them with the suits.
Copy. We will look that up and get back to you when we have it. Integrity Houston for comfort garment locations.
Go.
Thermal comfort garments for Christina and Jeremy are in Foxtrot 3 CTB large, labeled med kits with a purple label.
Copy, we're checking it out.
Houston Integrity for CCU dump, step 6.1, requesting that you deactivate the secondary wastewater dump line heaters.
Copy, thanks for the call. We will go ahead and leave those on for your awareness.
Copy.
Integrity Houston for read PCD troubleshooting.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, Reed, we suspect the issue with your PCD may be Optimus software. We were able to connect to PCD1 on, we can see it on the network, so with your go, we can remote in and take a look directly.
Yeah, go for it. And then I also see that I have 2 Microsoft Outlooks, and neither one of those are working. If you want to remote in and check Optimus on those 2 Outlooks, that would be awesome.
All right, we will join in on your PCD and we'll let you know when we're done. Integrity Houston, for your awareness, we have increased the ping timeout to 2 hours 51 minutes to encompass the KUS PDL Compass.
Okay, Amy, we are pretty knee-deep in cabin config. Just confirm we are not expecting a forward or return link LOS for the next little bit.
Correct.